Hey y'all, it's Nomadic Shaman here. Thank you for visiting my page. Um, Today's focus, I'm going to provide a Gangstalking update. I'm also going to share some heavy messages and then a message by Anpu. Okay, so let's start. Now, I was in deep, heavy meditation the other day when I felt a presence over me. And it was Anpu. For those who are not familiar, Anpu is Anubis. Anubis is a Greek name. Anpu is a Kemetic name. And he walks up to me and he's carrying the scale, okay? And I see a heart and I see a feather. And at this point, he's hovering me, he's over me, right? As I'm looking up to see the scale. And I'm seeing the scale move up and down. First it was quickly, and then it starts to slow down. And as it starts to slow down, I'm getting anxious. I'm like, hold up, isn't it too early? Hold up, is that for me? And why we gotta do this now? Yo, I was anxious, okay? Finally, the scale stopped and it was in balance. To which Anpu starts to back up slowly and then he walks away. But not before he gives me the message, sentencing has begun. Okay, so that's applicable to all souls. To all souls. Now, as it relates to me, I spoke let me just say this, that's actually also in alignment with the Archangel message, Archangel Michael message that I received, that I did a video on. So if you haven't checked that out, please do. Okay. But, yeah, y'all, sentencing has begun. Judgment has begun. Justice has begun. And a lot of people are in for a rude awakening. Now, as it relates to my experience, I was shown that I'm not going to get the outcome that I desire for everyone who was involved in my Gangstalking campaign. Those who came against me mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually, spiritually, digitally, financially, that I wouldn't receive the outcome that I desired for all those who came against me in or wronged me in one way or another. And that desire was to hear a clink clink, doors are closing. Okay, and I had to reconcile with that. However, I also need to make it clear that just because everybody is not going to be in a physical prison doesn't mean that they won't be judged, and doesn't mean that they won't be given sentencing, whether it is spiritual jail or prison or physical jail or prison. There was, I will say this, there's one woman who has a heart stent. Okay, she has heart issues, who does spell work, who has done spell work against me. She could be in a coven. She could be a practitioner, an occultist, a witch. But this isn't somebody who has done it once. This is somebody who has done it multiple times. Death magic. Spirit has informed me that she will not see the end of 2026. Okay. So she will pass away in 2026. So there's that. That's if she makes it the end of the year, is what I just heard. Okay. So there's that. I'm just a messenger in this video. All right. The other part is, so that was the message. So moving on. Some of the crazy things, well, let me just highlight this. It is October 1st. I checked my mail, still no mail from the courts. any type of court-related documents that were sent with me being the recipient, I have not received nor have I seen. Just stating that for the record. That's number one. The other part is just some of the things that have been happening since I last posted. Some of the same old, same old. Still in my trash, going through my trash, spell work outside of my apartment, outside of the apartment building. Some of the folks who are in this apartment building is part of it, doing spell work, as well as around the neighborhood, you know, watching, stalking, spying, all that, okay? The other part, as far as, what is the other part that I want to mention? Dream invasion, if I didn't share that before, astral projection, okay, and heavy crown chakra attacks. And so one thing I didn't want to share, if anyone has issues with constant attacks to your head or third eye, so you're getting severe migraine or headaches, a couple of ways to remedy that would be black cat oil or dragon's blood oil, okay, or even you can even use holy water or holy oil, anointed oil, okay, and then you can say a prayer, an affirmation, a chant, okay, but what you're going to do is you're going to anoint your eye right here, so the third eye, and then on your head. If you're into sigils, you can do that too, but that's what you're going to do. You can do a cross, you can do a sigil. If you're into that, you're going to say a protection prayer or a mantra or a chant as you do that, and that should provide a quick relief. This is in the instance that you are not able to take a spiritual bath with herbs, okay? Yeah, okay? So I wanted to provide that information. I did also write my notes here. So that's been some of the Gangstalking. Another part is that came to my attention like recently is that this man back here, the old man with the dog, who I don't know if either he's a veteran, but he definitely lives with a veteran. That's what Spirit informed me. He has a shed here, and people who are part of the Gangstalking campaign have been using his shed. I asked Spirit, is it to his knowledge? Does he know that people are using his shed? Spirit informed me yes, okay? So, I don't know what the fuck they're doing in there. Meetings, discussions, spell work, prepping stuff. They could be doing anything. But what I do know is it is related to the Gangstalking campaign as far as the amount of people that have been in and out in that damn shed. And anything centered around, you know, targeting old girl right here. Okay. Now, one name came to mind. Well, Spirit told me. Naya, Janaya. Okay. She's one of them. She's part of that crew. That's what Spirit told me. Anyways. Also, other part that I wanted to mention is this neighbor back here. He puts up cameras, listening devices in the woods, y'all. And I never heard of this before, but I heard hunter cameras. Now, what I will say is we do have wildlife that goes up in here. Like I've seen foxes, I've seen deer, rabbits, okay? So in his defense, excuse me, it could be to monitor that. But Spirit was just like, that's not the only game they're monitoring. Okay. To which I said, all right then. So cameras, I don't know, fix it on the trees, I don't know. But there are either cameras up now But they were definitely, and if they're not up now, they definitely have been up there in the past. This is what Spirit is telling me. As far as the shed area, I did want to highlight that I did hear a lot of noise, feet, people going in and out between the hours of 12 a.m. and 8 a.m. All week from September 20th to all the way up through September 28th. Okay, so that's when I was just like, Spirit, something's not right. What's going on? And I pulled cards today to get more of a clarification of detail of what's happening. So that was confirmation that I received from what Spirit told me, okay? And this is, and like I said beforehand, I don't know if they're all part of the coven. I don't know if they're all part of the cult. I just know that they're all part of the Gangstalking campaign. And we'll just say underground, what do they call it? Underground crime syndicate. Okay. So we'll leave it at that. I did write some downloads here. One download was I heard FBI informant. But it's not like the typical FBI informant. So I'm not talking about like the undercover cop or undercover FBI agent. I'm talking about an undercover FBI agent who is part of the Gangstalking campaign, who is connected to the fraudulent FBI boys, okay? The FBI, the individuals who work for the FBI who look away, do some foul shit for money. That's what I'm talking about. So when I say informant, it is an informant that is connected to a fraudulent folks who happen to work for FBI. Okay. And so they do stuff for them, which tells me that they're part of the whole underground crime syndicate. I'm gonna put my microphone up. So that's what I heard. But just to put it out there, FBI informant can go both ways, but we're spotlighting those who are part of the underground crime syndicate. Okay? I don't know why I just heard the Itchy and Scratchy show. I just heard the Itchy and Scratchy show. I just heard that. I don't know. My God, it's funny today. They got jokes. Also, they tried to send your girl on top of banshees and of course demons that I'm always having to banish. They tried to send your girl Papa Legba and Baron Samedi. Okay? They tried to send your girl, them two, at the cross. Meet me at the crossroad. They tried to send those to me. And both of them came to me in my dream to tell me that they were sent by whichever cult or coven that was doing spell work against me, or practitioner. Okay? They told me that they were sent. And then they went about their merry way. They ain't do shit. They just went about their merry way after they told me. Anyways, what else? Drones. So in addition to helicopters, I've heard drones. Also, I wanted to say, y'all, keep in mind, we're in the month of October, which means Halloween is at the end, and these people like to act crazy up in this bitch, okay? I don't know anything about doing dark magic, black magic, baneful magic, but apparently a lot of these covens and these cults like to go deep up in it, especially around Halloween, okay? And so just be vigilant about your spiritual hygiene. This serves as a reminder to you all as well as to me, because some days I tend to get lazy. It doesn't necessarily help that they like to send your girl sleepy spells, but I say this to remind myself and to remind you all just to stay vigilant when it comes to your spiritual hygiene, especially this month. We got the new moon and we got the full moon coming up, of course. But then they also like to do some type of ritualistic practice towards the end of the year. Okay. The other part download that I got was hiding money in jewelry. Okay, so this is connected to me, or it could be connected to y'all. Okay. VPN, VNC. So these folks that are part of the crime syndicate, okay, they do have burner phones as it relates to my Gangstalking campaign. They do like to use, I heard walkie-talkies. They like to use burner phones. And then they like to switch up with SIM cards, new and different SIM cards. They pop it in, they pop it out. Okay, so that way, if for whatever reason they get stopped, if their phones get confiscated, they still have their SIM card. It's a different SIM card. Okay, so keep that in mind. Same old with the whole shape shifting, sending all types of demons to my place of where I dwell. Shape shifting, of course, dream state, invasion, to siphon, harness, and harvest. They also do blood sacrificing as well as voodoo that they were doing on me or to me. So, and one thing I wanted to, also another thing that I wanted to say, because I think that that's on my downloads that I received, but one other thing that I wanted to say, or that I wrote down, one other thing I wanted to say was about destiny swap. So this is where we start to tiptoe into the dark aspects of destiny swap. I'm not going to go at length of what destiny swap is. Feel free to check out my previous videos. But in case I didn't say this beforehand, on one hand where destiny swaps, is an illusion and, and can't be done. On another hand, how it is effective, let me just use an example. If someone, I can use myself as an example. Okay, so my example where I created tarot cards. I created tarot cards. I created also affirmation cards, and how it was stolen from me. And then what they ended up doing was using the likeness of my cards, because they hacked into my shit. And then they went ahead and they sold it. And based on the sales, they were doing very well on my ideas and my finalized product, right? And so that's an example of a destiny swap. But one of the things, it may not be the best example for what I'm trying to illustrate here, but the point that I'm trying to drive home is a lot of times in destiny swaps, why it is so successful is because these cults and these covens are constantly doing illusion magic and all different type of spell work to continuously delay things, to the point where you delay, that you may not be able to experience those things, your realized potential, all of which you were meant to achieve and experience within this lifetime until next lifetime. So you gotta wait until you start again. You die, you start again. So that, in one way or aspect, is how it can be stripped from you, in a sense. A lot of people don't like to talk about that, but I'm using this as an opportunity to talk about that, where a lot of folks do get their potential realized that hasn't been realized, right? snatched right from up under them. And so they won't be able to experience those things until next lifetime, if for any reason they are removed from this earth. And that's a harsh reality for some. Okay, that's a harsh reality for many. But there you have it. It is part of the experience. And it is something that they are always trying to achieve as it relates to the innocent, the chosen ones, the divine ones, okay? So it's always important to try your best to remain steadfast on your journey as it relates to your North Node, okay? So that's one thing. I've said many. The other part that I wanted to share with you all was specifically what was happening to me. One of the ways that these folks who practice this type of spell work, how they were harnessing, harvesting, and siphoning my energy, is that they would tag my sacral chakra. So think of it like a GPS system or like an Apple AirTag. In the astral, they would put like a marker so that they would be able to identify it when the astral projector do remote viewing. Then they would do spell work, occultists, practitioners, coven members, affiliations, and they would do create hooks. So they would hook it, and I could literally feel it as it was being done, but I just didn't know at the time what was going on. I just shrugged it off as like a period pain, okay, until I noticed that this was happening a lot more often, and then I had to sit with my spiritual team and find out what the hell is going on, okay, to which I found this out, which is why I'm sharing with you all. So they would take a hook after they've tagged it, and they would identify your energy by way of energy mapping. And you're probably like, what the hell? So basically, they would study you. They would see your energy levels. They would also focus on all your chakra points. They would also trigger you to see what chakra points would be effective and be more susceptible to spell work. Then that's when the hook comes in. Well, you create from your womb space. So the hook would go into the sacral chakra. At least it did in mine. And then that's where the spiritual pimping came in, where different occultists, practitioners, witches, warlocks, wizards, whatever you want to call them, however they choose to identify, would then siphon my energy from my womb space, okay? And that's how they were siphoning energy from my sacral chakra. And I realized that they were doing it by way of tagging and energy mapping, which is essentially studying you in the astral, spiritually, energetically, and seeing based on the triggers that they would send, the spell work that they would send, how you would react or respond. And then look at your energy centers, which are your chakra points. Okay. Do spell work, then boom, put out the hook, start sucking. And they would have different people feed off your energy in that way. So very parasitic, very vampiric. This is what they were doing. To which I say it's always important to do cord cutting. Now, is the cord cutting one and done? No, it's not. I had to learn the hard way. I'm cutting cords, at least in the beginning, I was constantly cutting cords. I'm like, well, how the fuck am I still getting the cord attached? Okay, I'll do a more in-depth video for that, but for this video, I wanted to share my experience with the type of spell work that they were doing in the astral that was putting a hook into my sacral chakra so that they can literally suck the life force up out of me, okay, and leave me feeling drained and depleted. So I wanted to share that with you. A quick resolution would be to cut cords, but That's a quick resolution. Okay. Now, the other part, where are we at on time? We're at 24 minutes. I didn't anticipate it for being this long. I think I'm going to end this here, and then I'm going to resume in the next one. All right, see you. Peace. Peace out.